It's a good day to be concerned about armor coatings, eh? In a recent update, 343 has told us a little bit more about what an armor coating is. Let's read that, and then we'll talk about it. Over the last few weeks, a number of different marketing promotions have started popping up around the world, with partners offering a variety of in-game customization offers for Halo Infinite. While we shifted our release to 2021, many of these programs are still proceeding this fall as planned, which lets fans redeem and bank items now. These cosmetics will be available in-game when we launch. From Mega Construx toys to Monster Energy drinks to Mondelez cookies, candies, and more, fans around the world will have opportunities to score double XP boosts, emblems, and armor coatings. We know folks are eager to get a better sense of what's happening out there, and we're working with our partners to pull together the specifics around these programs. Depending on locale, there may be slightly different terms, conditions, and rewards, but these products will be staying on shelves and we are moving quickly to adapt to the shift in launch. Rest assured, we'll continue to communicate these programs and prizes as they come online. Admittedly, product promotions weren't how we originally envisioned sharing the first look at some of these customization elements. In our last community update, we offered a closer look at the Monarch armor coating, a special award being offered by Mondelez, US and Canada, and before that, we shared a closer look at the Monster Energy weapon coatings in this Xbox Wire blog. Overall, it's been great to see excitement for this early look at some of Halo Infinite's customization items, but we know many of you also have questions. We've got a lot more to share and show about multiplayer and customization in Halo Infinite, and we will get to it in due time, but for now, we want to provide a bit more clarity around what to expect from coatings. From the beginning, player expression has been a key pillar of Halo Infinite, and to achieve these goals, the team has developed a new system which is a powerful and flexible way to create customization content quicker and more robustly than we've been able to in the past. According to lead player investment designer Christopher Blome, a coating is a 7-layer shader that allows us to put any artist-authored color, material, or pattern into 7 channels and apply it to in-game items like weapons, armor, and vehicles. Yes, that's right, including vehicles. Here's an example. Coloration, along with materials and patterns, will now be baked into the coating, taking the place of the primary and secondary armor color options found in prior games. While we understand that many players are fond of the previous color system, we're very excited about the breadth and scope of armor, weapon, and vehicle customization options that will be available in Halo Infinite because of the coating system. Additionally, players should expect more robust per-piece armor customization choices akin to what was available in Halo Reach versus what was offered in Halo 5 Guardians. And as we expand our customization capabilities with armor geometry, materials, colors, and textures, it's important to the team that players are given even more opportunities to express themselves within the game itself. More on that later. When we shared the Monarch armor render in our last update, we also saw some feedback around it looking too plastic or being too clean. While we are very excited about the return to a more classic Halo art style, we do want to acknowledge that the nature of these work-in-progress renders is such that they aren't completely representing the base material as shown in-game with real lighting. Additionally, as you can see with Redshift above, the overall look will also depend on the design style of each specific armor coating. We know this is a lot to wrap your head around, particularly without being able to see it in practice. Learning about some big new customization changes coming to Halo Infinite by seeing some marketing materials and reading a few paragraphs isn't ideal. But with programs already in motion and our date shifting, here we are. We also want to stress that we know some folks are likely going to be disheartened by the limited nature of some of these current programs, tied to specific regions or products, but please rest assured the team has a lot of customization content planned, including items that will be earned in-game and some that will be earned as special rewards, i.e. the Halo 5 152 Legacy reward we've mentioned in the past. Stay tuned as we'll have a lot more to say and show regarding customization and progression in Halo Infinite down the road. A lot to unpack here. Armor coatings will take the place of primary and secondary armor color options. So to me that says this isn't just a texture. This is color. And if that is the case, I am extremely concerned. Now, what we've read here doesn't seem super explicit. It feels like there's still more questions, as maybe we're just assuming this, right? Like maybe we're just assuming that it does in fact take color. But that's what I'm gleaning from this. And that's what I think a lot of people are gleaning from this. Taking the place of the primary and secondary armor color options found in previous games. it is possible that these armor coatings are what you see is what you get. Now, I assume that we'll be able to apply Halo Reach style to like whatever armor pieces you choose to have on yourself, and it will apply this general theme. But if we can't choose primary and secondary colors, that's bad. I'm trying as much as possible to walk a fine line here and to understand where they're coming from, why they're making this decision. So going with the assumption that these are armor coatings. This is your color. You can no longer select white and blue. Like, you can't just pick your colors. You pick a coating and that's what it is. Assuming we're going along that shader style, they did use the word shader in here. Let's talk about the benefits. This does potentially give them opportunities to create texture. We haven't really seen it yet, but that's the vibe I'm getting, is that you can literally see, you know, something that's chrome, something that's shiny, something that's scratched. All of that can be applied, but it would remain in the color that you have. So you could get, say, a scratched finish that's red and black, but you would also need to get a scratched finish that's white and gold. One of my concerns is that this is something that they wouldn't necessarily be able to go back on very easily, as all these promotions are already out there, right? All these cookies and candies, and like, that's part of the marketing machine. Don't overlook the existence of those. Like, don't write that off, or, you know, that's something that happens with AAA titles, right? Like, this has been in plans forever. That's why it still had to roll out despite the game being delayed. So those promotions are in place, and like, for them to say, you know what, just kidding, those don't matter anymore, right? That'd be a disaster. However, what's more of a disaster is not being able to pick your colors. This is obviously a microtransaction play, and you know, larger than microtransaction, an unlockables play, more things to unlock. But, you know, we joked before about unlocking colors. Now, I'll admit, I'm not fully opposed to the notion of unlocking colors if you started with the standards, right? You have colors you've seen in past Halo games. You know, say you have 15 colors or something to that effect, and then you can unlock colors on top of that, right? Because we've never, like, as a fan of green, there's usually like 6 greens, and it's never the green I want, right? I can never get my lime green. I always want a nice, like, yellow green. That doesn't exist. So I've never been opposed to being able to, oh yeah, like, now you can unlock colors that didn't exist in the starter kit. This whole thing can be potentially mitigated if, when you start the game, without having to unlock anything, you have a ton of coatings at your disposal. You have the basics. Stuff people like, stuff that's just normal, right? You have a pretty much a solid of every color, right? If we start the game and we don't have, again, 15 or so basic colors, a red, a blue, you know, a red and black, a black and yellow, like, just stuff that just, like, if they just looked at the most popular color types, for instance, and just had those in there, I think that mitigates it a bit. I wouldn't be as upset, right? As long as you nail all those ones. But still, what if someone's theme for their entirety of playing Halo was green and purple, and there is no green and purple option? Then what? Then they can no longer be the Spartan they've been for over a decade. 16 years. You have people who have stuck to a primary and secondary armor color for 16 years. We're going to go with this green and purple because that's something I like wearing. What if they can never have that? How would they even petition 343 to allow that to happen? Again, I'm really, really, really trying. You guys know me. Either you love me for it or you hate me for it. I'm trying to understand and be level-headed about this decision, assuming we're understanding it right. There's always the chance that we aren't fully understanding this, and maybe it's like a per-piece coding system. Maybe. If that's the case, I don't hate it. A complicated version of being able to color things. But if it is literally just like a whole suit, that's your color scheme. I don't got many positives. I really don't. And I like to give the benefit of the doubt as much as possible. One way I can come to terms with this is if this was the first ever Halo game, right? You have games like Destiny that are like that, right? You have a shader system. I don't know how well that's received, actually. People seem fine with it. But, and this is the problem with a lot of Halo discussions, is it's never been this way. We've always had options. This isn't giving us much new. It is pulling something away. And that is the problem that Halo seems to keep getting itself into. You can't take things away from us. I'll even settle for, okay, this will be something not in at launch, but post-launch we'll have this. And you know what? I'll say it. I'd be okay with this system if a full color wheel or something to that effect was unlocked at a top level, right? If you ranked up in a playlist or whatever, or like your account rank got to a certain, like the very top is colors or somewhere high up, because you're like, oh, dude, how'd you get that? You're like, I got the color wheel, bro. People would grind for that. I don't think that's a terrible idea. Again, I'm trying to find this middle ground here in the notion that they are very much, this is something they have in place. We can fight it, but it's very clear that this is also in marketing. This is, they're working with partners on it. I don't know if we'll be able to win this battle. So I'm trying to find that middle ground. And it's tough. I don't like this. Again, we're not seeing it in practice. We're just seeing some renders. We're just hearing a few paragraphs about it. And it might not be super terrible if there were bajillions of coatings that literally covered every possible color scheme. I think if people think like that, it'll be a little less hard to wrap your head around and a little less frustrating. But how are they going to do that? Do you know how many, let's think about this, right? If we only had 15 colors and only primary and secondary, there's probably tertiaries. I mean, we've seen 3 color armor suits, right? Okay, so that'd be 225 different coatings. Now we're getting into a whole other problem. Halo 5 already had too many options, which you think isn't a bad thing, and it is inherently, but you need to have a damn good UI, UX system to facilitate that many. They are not going to give us over 200 coatings. How long is it even going to take them to get to that level? That's not going to happen. You're dreaming. But you can't argue that would potentially satisfy people. It's not as good. But if you can still get the look you want, great. Oh, but hang on though. We're only talking about 2 colors? If you add another 15 in there, right? Now you're talking thousands. We're talking thousands of variations to make sure I get my specific purple-green combo. Again, trying to keep this positive. Textures, stuff like that can be cool. And I think there's potential there. And also, it's really cool that this is happening with vehicles, with weapons. I'm okay with not being able to select primary and secondary colors and stuff for vehicles. You know why? Because it's never happened. That's never happened in Halo. So anything to do with those are new. MCC first introduced the vehicle system. That's super cool. And we're seeing more of that again. Great. I don't expect to be able to select a primary and secondary color for vehicles. You know what I do expect? To be able to do it for my armor. Since Halo 2. Forever. The Halo franchise. This is entirely based around a unlockable system, a microtransaction system, etc. The partners, all of this to make this work. They wanted more items to unlock, to redeem, to purchase. I don't see any other valid reason why something like this would exist. I gave you a way you could unlock colors and not have it be egregious. You have your basics, and then anything on top, fine. You can select a primary, you can select a secondary, and those are the basic colors, right? You have your 15 colors, whatever. I think that would satisfy people. I think that would be totally fine. And then on top of that, then it's coatings, right? Then you have cool stuff going here and there. This is how you can save yourselves, 343. And yes, 343, listen, I can't stress it enough, guys. There are people out there who think they're just, some evil corporation who's just out there to make $1, and life isn't that black and white. They're listening. They're watching. Yes, a single video can have an entire impact around a studio. And 343, because you're listening, you've seen the outcry. You've anticipated the outcry. If my notion here is in fact true, that armor coatings are not per piece, that it is entire set. Hey, you want to be purple and black? There you go. You want to be red and white? There you go. But you can't customize it further than that, other than the shapes of the pieces. If that is true, if that is what armor coatings are, we need to at least have the base colors. The base, again, 15 is kind of an arbitrary number there, a primary and secondary there, even if that's in kind of the first coatings, or I don't know how you do that, but that needs to be the base. You can go absolutely wild on top of that. because everyone will. That's the thing. This is almost a non-issue. It's so close to being something that people wouldn't complain about. People would celebrate. But they're not gonna, because you're taking away an option. You're taking away a legacy, a history. You are taking away individuality. You're not providing individuality. During that rank up sequence, as I'm sure we're unlocking things or microtransactions or whatever, everyone will look close to the same. Armor can only be so drastically different. We need base colors. People need to make their Spartan. They'll get tired of it after a week or something anyway. Maybe less, because they'll unlock a cool new armor coating and put it on, and then they'll forget about this whole thing. But without it being there, the basic functionality, think of machinima. Think there's so much you are hurting yourself with by not being able to do that. Again, it's so close, and I understand where you guys are coming from. But we need the basic functionality there. And to be fair, Halo's a red versus blue game. So like you never see your colors. But it is a treat to see your colors, right? When you're hopping into free-for-alls, when you're playing custom games, it's nice to express that individuality. And also, however you guys are deciding to do menu systems and multiplayer lobbies. I think of Halo 4, which came pretty close, but not great. But I love the notion of being able to really see your Spartans. Halo 5 menu, again, it's kind of almost there as well, where it's like you see your Spartans standing side by side, and like, hey, look at all these cool guys. You got a cool thing going. When they all have the same freaking colors, and you see them a billion times, they didn't choose those colors. It's like an illusion of choice. Because again, unless you have literally thousands of coatings, there are going to be a percentage of players that will never look how they wanted to look. 343, you can save this. You can save this if there are basic colors. If you're not removing functionality, you're adding functionality. And whether the workaround there is just using a subset of free coatings from when you start the game, or a very basic small selection of base color system, I don't care. This seems so insignificant. Looking at it from afar, third person, you're like, it's stupid colors on your Spartan. But again, I'm going to hit this point over and over and over again. 16 years. 343 has been under fire for many things since its inception. You need a win. You need a win right now. Halo Infinite needs to be perfect. That's why I'm glad the delay happened. It needs to be an incredible game. With everything you expect from a Halo game and more. And it already looks like you're kind of replacing weapons, and I don't know the story there. But I'm going to wrap this up by saying, if armor coatings are as we're presuming, big loss. Big loss that was so close to being something very cool. And I don't doubt in practice it is cool. But if you launch Halo Infinite with this, with people not being able to create their Spartans, sure, people might get over it eventually. But I'd also bet money that some point down the road, you guys will go back on this and go, all right, fine, here's a color wheel for everyone. We know you can do it. We know this isn't a limitation of the system. This is an unlockable microtransaction content plan. Stop taking things away. Add things. I look forward to clarification on this system, and I want to see some lead designers come out and talk about this. I don't want a written up thing by the community managers. Love you guys. I want to see a brutally honest discussion from the devs coming out and saying, why are you doing this? What's up? Explain it. Discuss with the community. If you're taking away our identity, I want a damn good reason why.